This video is brought to you by America First Insight. Help support the growing conservative movement by becoming a member today. And if you want to support this channel, you can also use the code REAL when becoming a member. Thank you and enjoy the video. As everyone probably knows, there is a big fight happening in the great state of Indiana over redistricting, as Republicans began to realize, oh, wait a minute, there are currently 2 Democrat seats right now that could be redrawn into like Trump plus 10, Trump plus 15 seats right now. And you would think, with it being a Trump plus 20 state, Trump plus 25, with it being a very Republican state up and down the ballot, you would think at the bare minimum, they would push to get 1 seat go Republican. Because, okay, let's say you don't want both of them. Fine. You have 1 seat that could maybe backfire. Fine, whatever. But at the bare minimum, at least try to get 1 seat to go Republican of the 2. But despite it being Trump plus 20, big majorities in both chambers, a Republican trifecta, everything's Republican in Indiana, despite all of that, we still have a bunch of idiotic Republicans in the state legislature right now doing everything they can to stop this from happening. Just look at this headline right here. Indiana GOP state senator says he will vote no on redistricting after Trump used a slur. Yeah, this is a real headline. You have a state senator named Bahachek, who's a quote-unquote Republican, gonna vote no on redistricting for the simple fact that Trump used a word that didn't like. You can't make this up. You're telling me that you're gonna change your entire worldview or vote against a bill or whatever because somebody said a mean word? Really? And for those that don't know, the word that Trump used was retarded. And of course it came from what could very well be one of his best statements ever. We made a whole video on this. We talked about mass immigration, and he called Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota, he called him seriously retarded. And that somehow means that this dumbass in the state Senate now has the right to vote no. Really? Indiana State Senator Michael Bahachek said Friday that he wouldn't support an effort in his state to redraw congressional district lines that favor Republicans after President Trump used a slur for those with intellectual disabilities to describe Democrat Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. This is not the first time our president has used these insulting and derogatory references, and his choices of words have consequences. I will be voting no on redistricting. Perhaps he can use the next 10 months to convince voters that his policies and behavior deserve a congressional majority. Yeah, this is a Republican, by the way. A Republican said this. Does this sound like a Republican to you? Really? So you're gonna vote no, not because you think the action might be illegal or against the state constitution or some bullshit excuse like that. That's one thing. You know, that's one thing. It's BS, but fine, whatever. You're going to use the excuse of, well, Trump said a mean word, and I'm going to vote no on this bill because he said a mean word. Seriously? Now, I do believe that his daughter does have Down syndrome, but still, are you seriously going to vote against Trump because he used a word like that? Come on, that is absurd. It's just absurd that he's saying stuff like this, and it's why Republicans suck. Why the average person, despite Democrats being objectively worse in most issues, people don't like Republicans for this reason. You end up with spineless morons like this. Oh, Trump said a mean word, so I'm going to give Democrats whatever they want. That's what he's basically saying here. He's ended up like Liz Cheney where, oh, Trump is a mean person and we got to give Democrats whatever they want because Orange Man bad. That's the type of shit he is doing right now. You don't have to like Trump. You don't have to do anything like that. Just vote yes on this. You're helping your own party by voting yes. But no, he doesn't want to. Makes you really wonder why is he so against voting against these new maps? To stop Orange Man? That's what Liz Cheney says. And if he's so worried about this type of language, has he said a single thing about Democrats in the last couple of years? I guarantee you, he probably said nothing about Jay Jones in Virginia. He probably said one thing for a day and that's it, if that. So I'm not taking this excuse seriously because he probably said nothing about that. He's probably said nothing but what Democrats have been saying and doing for years now. Nothing. It's insane. You're more worried about Trump saying one mean word than you are about half the country saying far more egregious stuff. Or I should say a third of the country. What are we doing here? It's absurd that this is the reasoning. It's stupid. It's why Republicans lose. You have morons like this worried about principles and God knows what than anything else. So what? If Trump says, I support tax cuts, are you against that now? Because he said a mean word? That's the part that makes no sense. So if Trump supports something, you have to oppose it, right? That's the issue. This logic makes no sense. What does redistricting have to do with what Trump said? He wasn't even talking about redistricting. He was talking about immigration. And he so happened to call Tim Walz a dumbass for just doing a shit job in Minnesota. But somehow that relates back to redistricting and somehow relates to your daughter. That makes no sense. It's stupid. And that's why people are confused. Like, what? The logic makes no sense. This came out of nowhere. And that's when people began to do the research on this guy and they begin to realize, oh, there's some very shady stuff with him. For starters, look at this. He was accused of driving 3 times over the legal alcohol limit in Indiana. Yeah, 3 times the amount you're supposed to drink. You can't make this up. And this guy apparently got off scot-free. Yeah, there's a loophole in Indiana law where these state legislators, I guess they can't be charged or thrown in jail or whatever for this stuff. Again, I'm not a legal expert. I don't know the Indiana law for sure, but it's something about that where there's a loophole where you can't charge the guy and the only reason he's not in jail is because of the garbage loophole. And it's very stupid. It's like, seriously? So you can't arrest him? What? So yeah, this guy already, he's broken the law like 2 weeks ago. But okay, whatever. That's one time. That's one thing. Maybe it was a one-off mistake. That doesn't really prove anything. But I just wanted to bring this up because it's kind of funny. It's like, wait, this guy drank this much and drove, and he got no punishment? Yeah, that's a state of our government, everybody. You get off scot-free if you're a politician, but whatever. Either way, you get the point. This guy, he broke the law. That's one thing. Maybe it's not the end of the world. Maybe this doesn't prove anything. Well, I think this does. Now, in a nutshell, I'm not going to go into the whole story because it's a developing story, people looking more into it. This guy, his wife, apparently, she received $1.5 million in federal funding. And take a guess who was secured by? Democrat Congressman Frank Mervyn. Yeah, one of the 2 Democrat congressmen in Indiana right now helped secure a bunch of money to this guy's wife. Funny how that works. I mean, seriously, what does this tell you? Oh, the second that he gets a bunch of money from this Democrat congressman, suddenly, oh, I can't support the maps. No, you're not doing it because of principles. This is corruption. If I know I hate saying this, but if this was the other way around, where a Democrat state senator or whatever, he was doing some very suspicious things, and then it turns out that the congressman was giving him a bunch of money, what would people say? People would say, that's corruption. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, it's a guarantee that they pocketed all this money. I'm not saying that, but of course there's a chance. But apparently his wife got money from the Democrat congressman, Frank Mervyn. And now he's opposing redistricting because no matter what happens, even if they only go for an 8-1 map, right now it's 7-2. If they go for 8-1, you know who goes out? This guy, Frank Mervyn. He goes down because with an 8-1 map, his district becomes like R+20. You're not going to gerrymander the Indianapolis seat if you keep Frank Mervyn's seat. It's just not going to happen. If it's 8-1, they go after him. And now it begins to make sense what's going on here. It's not about principles. It's not about, oh, Orange Man said some mean stuff. Because, again, it doesn't make any sense. why would he oppose this, but then probably vote in line on most other issues? That makes no sense. But now it does, because one of his buddies is giving his wife a lot of money. Funny how that works. And I guarantee you that there's probably more of this. I'm not saying there's like billions or whatever, but would you really be shocked if it turns out this guy has ties like in the tens of millions with Frank Mervyn? It makes sense now. This guy is full of shit. It's not about principles. It's not, none of this other bullshit he's making up. It's because his wife is probably getting paid off. And in return, he's going to vote no on redistricting because it helps his buddy out. This is why Republicans lose. They're so dumb and they're so corrupt that they would rather sell themselves out to these people because they know, oh, we're going to make more money this way. And they don't give a shit about the country. They don't care about the party. They don't care about their voters. They care about stopping the orange man because they're getting paid off. Wow, what a great party we got here. It is absolutely pathetic that this is even remotely happening. But it makes more sense than, oh, Trump said a mean word. Trump said far more egregious stuff in the past. Seriously. And now this is the time that you say, no, stop, we gotta stop him. I wonder what the real reason is. So we're gonna see what happens, because this story is becoming bigger by the day because people are looking more into this guy. It's very clear he's corrupt. He's getting paid off indirectly. And he's just using this as a cover. But in reality, he's only doing this because he's getting paid off indirectly. What are we doing here? It's utter insanity. We're even remotely talking about stuff like this, that we have to deal with this crap. Democrats, they don't give a shit. If you vote in line with them, even 99.9% of the time, they'll throw you out. The average Democrat votes in line 100% of the time. Republicans, meanwhile, you're lucky to get it 80% of the time, if that. And that's for generic stuff like tax cuts. But stuff like this, you have to pull teeth to get these people to vote yes. And even then, that's not enough, because they're so corrupt, they're stupid, whatever you want to call these people, that they would rather sell their own voters to rake in as much money as possible. And this is why Republicans keep losing. This is why Republicans, they suck. Nobody likes them. Are they better than Democrats? Sure. But are they more incompetent? Yes. Are they stupider? Yes. They pull shit like this all the time? Yes. And never benefits their own party. That's a crazy thing. At least Democrats, what they do, they're trying to benefit their own party. Republicans, though, they don't do that. All they care about themselves is about themselves, making themselves a bunch of money, getting more power for themselves, not for the party, but for themselves. It's horrific that we're even discussing this, but hopefully there's enough pressure for people to realize, oh, people actually want to redraw the maps in Indiana, and this guy gets thrown out, because I don't think Trump's going to allow this to slide. Seriously, you're getting paid off by a Democrat, and now suddenly you're opposing this? That's very suspicious. But anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.